Hey everyone, welcome back to LiveJam.
Hi, I'm Faizal.
Yes, my name is A.D.I, and today we're going to talk a little bit about rejection. That's our main topic.
Yes, would you like to tell our listeners and our audience why you picked this topic for this session?
Okay, the reason why I decided to go with the topic of rejection is because it's the end of the year and I've been doing a lot of reflection, and then I realized that throughout this 2020 especially there's a lot of proposals that I've actually sent out to that gets rejected, and I'm sure that is for my case it's not an isolated case. I'm sure everybody actually faced a lot more rejection this year. So I thought it would be appropriate for us to talk a little bit more about rejection and uh, what do you feel exactly when you go through this thing called the rejection, and how do we then come to terms with all these different rejections in the different forms, and then is there a way for us, because a lot of people say that rejection is good because you with every rejections you kind of learn and then you get better, but is that really true? So I thought it's a good time for us to reflect on the many different times that we get rejected, so that we can move on to 2021 hopefully with a perspective or some kind of a renewed energy,
Renewed hope.
renewed hope to be able to face another rounds of rejections, which I'm sure I am going to be facing in 2021 too. So that's why I thought okay, let's talk about rejection and let's talk about hope. Let's talk about how do we overcome it. Okay, before we even continue with this discussion, maybe we give our listeners a bit of time to reflect the different types of rejections that they have gone through and the many different times that they have gotten rejections in their life. Maybe we'll give them about 30 seconds to kind of reflect through that. Okay, welcome back to LiveJam. So this week we are talking about rejections, and just now I gave you about 30 seconds to reflect back the different types of rejections that you may have faced in your life before. So we kind of go with this question of the different types of rejections that we had, right? Personally for me, when I was younger and we and I have not really gone into the working world and I'm still a student, I thought student lives was hard, because you get rejected based on your assignment, because you submit your assignment and then your lecturer will say, oh, this is not good enough, and then you end up with a grade that you are just not happy with, or you approach someone that is of interest to you and then you get rejected and you thought oh my god, that is the end of the world. But apparently when you get into the working world, I think you face a lot more rejections, and you face rejections in many different forms, especially for me. I've gone through rejections in a form of verbal rejections. I've gone through rejections in the form of email, and I've gone through rejection in the form of a non-reply. Yeah, there are times when you apply for an audition slot and then you go for the audition, and then the director say, or the producer will say things like, oh, we'll get back to you in 1 week's time. Oh, we will get back to you if we decide to cast you. And then you kind of don't really receive any reply for the next 2 months, and then you just have to assume that you didn't land the role. And that's a kind of rejection that is kind of painful, because there is no way you can kind of reflect and improve on yourself so that you can tell yourself that by the time you go for the second or the third audition you will be better, because there's no way you're going to know why you're rejected.
Having faced rejections myself, like I've been working for the past 11 years, mostly in like a corporate setting, and have changed jobs quite a few times, and I've gone to, for me, rejections come from uh, probably when I find new job and I get rejected for the positions that I applied for, or maybe the recruiter just don't come back to me, or they just like then what's the point of me going for a job interview if you don't tell me I get a job or not, and you just like don't reply or give me any kind of answers. So that is the kind of rejection for me that I have faced in the past 10 to 11 years of working. Yeah, so I guess there are many kinds of rejection. So for me, it's like uh, when you go for job interviews and you get rejected for the role, or maybe I have kind of proposed ideas for projects, like design ideas, and like sometimes the rejection comes in a very harsh manner. Like people don't really layer their rejection, like the way they say it is very straightforward, or they just outrightly either, I don't know whether they don't like me or they just hate my idea, or I'm not sure. Sometimes the rejection can be harsh, and some rejection can be quite critic. How to say it? They give constructive criticism. Like, I understand why I got rejected. I appreciate rejections when the person who gave me the rejection kind of give me a perspective of why I got rejected. Like for maybe a design project or any kinds of projects that I work in the corporate world. So constructive criticism, yes, like I welcome it a lot, but I don't like rejections when you don't give me a very good answer. Like I don't know how to improve on it.
I thought that was a cruel form of rejection because, there's no way you could learn on how to improve on what you were lacking in.
True.
Yeah, but like you see, as an actor, because like you could be rejected for many other different reasons. Like maybe you just weren't tall enough. Maybe you just they were just looking for someone who is of fairer looking skin. So these are the things that would have been helpful for an actor, for a fresh grad actor, to kind of like know that it is beyond something that they can have improved on. Because I mean, like when it comes to like your height, your voice, like your voice quality, those are all God given, and there are not many things that you can do to kind of like change it. I mean, like, yeah, maybe your skin, you might go for plastic surgery, but if you're not tall enough for the particular role, then there's nothing you can do, you see. But I thought what would be cruel is when these actors get rejected, they weren't told like why they were rejected, then they might psychologically think that they are just not good enough, when it could probably be not true, and like it just could be because like maybe they are not thin enough, not pretty enough. So a lot of like times when I go for like these audition processes, a lot of times I'll be asking myself like, is it because I'm fat? Is it because like my skin condition is in a poor state? Is it because I'm not pretty enough? Is it because I'm not popular enough, and that's why I didn't land the role? So like that, it became it can lead to self-destruction, where people go into this like habit of like, oh, maybe if I were to like starve myself, if I were to be smaller, if I were to be skinnier, and if I like for example, like I go through this like skin routine whereby I go for laser treatments every week, at the point that I damage my skin just cause I think that I'm not pretty enough to land a role for television or for stage, for that matter. Then like, what if after all these different efforts that you have put in, and you still couldn't land a role because you just don't know what is wrong with you, or why you couldn't get a role, or like what exactly that needs to be improved on? Then I guess that's not very helpful right then, and it can be detrimental to the actors. So what I'm trying to say is, for those up and coming directors, producers, if you are holding an audition, I think what would be helpful for the actors is to tell them like, oh, we feel that maybe you're not suitable because like maybe the way you pronounce certain words, because I get rejected a lot, and like sometimes the directors just be upfront, and I really appreciate this. They'll be upfront and they say that, oh, the way you pronounce things makes the character a little bit too intelligent, for example, or they say like the way you pronounce words are not Malay enough, or the way you pronounce words like it sounds a little bit funny for a Malay person to be talking in certain ways. So then I kind of know what are the areas that I can work with and what are the areas that are beyond my control, because like if I speak in a certain way and like you feel that because of the way I speak I don't bring a certain type of like stereotypes in your mind, then probably that job is just not meant for me.
Yeah, so you were talking about when you get rejected and like you don't know what's wrong with you. I can always say, okay, just two things from me. I feel like when you have a producer or director giving constructive criticism, right, on how the actor can improve him or herself or themselves, sometimes I feel like not everybody can take that criticism, although it is constructive. Like, so how then does one, director or producer, kind of balance that, and not like they may audition actors or who are a bit more sensitive and they are not so receptive towards just criticism of any kind, even if it's constructive.
To me, if you choose to be an actor, chances are you have a thick enough skin to kind of like accept whatever criticism that comes in your way. And like, I don't know about the whole idea of like sensitivity, but like I guess it all boils down then again to like the casting call, right? Like for example, I give you an example. Let's say if you want to produce a type of film that plays with stereotypes, then what would be helpful in the casting call is you said that you want a stereotypical character to kind of like be part of this project. In that way, then the actors who kind of like can play along with the stereotypes can like consider, okay, maybe this is the kind of projects that I want to go into. Then you wouldn't really cause a lot of like grievances in that sense when you decide to say like, oh, you're playing a Malay character and Malay characters don't speak like that. Yeah, then that would be helpful. The other way around it is like, let's say if you're auditioning for an actor, and as an actor myself, I will take criticism in which I think could help me improve in my craft. Criticisms that I feel are not helpful, I would just put it in one corner, and then maybe I'll bring them out slowly when that particular director who gave me that particular of unhelpful criticism, and I will like slowly take it out and say that, okay, this director said this, and I find that it is not true, and it is counterproductive to like what we as a community in the arts wanted to kind of like push forth and like improve on. Then I can then safely tell myself like, okay, I would not work with such directors. Yeah, but whatever it is, I feel that the criticism from the directors would be really helpful for any kind of actors, be it whether they are sensitive or not sensitive. Then it's really up to the actors whether they want to accept it or not. As opposed to just say that, oh, we're not going to cast you, or you don't give a non-response, and then this actor wait for like 2 months, and then like there's no reply, and then like what are they going to do? Yeah.
Yes.
Speaking of like directors with not very helpful remarks, I'll give you some examples. Okay, I've been to like one particular audition whereby the director asked me, because it's a Malay production, so this particular director asked me, when you dream, do you dream in Malay or English? And then they started laughing together in that panel, and I was confused at that point of time, and then I realized, okay, like that kind of remark wasn't very necessary, because like at the end of the day, what bigger purpose does it serve, right?
Actually, what has the dream got to do with anything? Even if I dream in Malay, English, or in Tamil, or in any other language that I'm not familiar with, why does it matter?
It doesn't mean like you dream in English, your Malay sucks. And it doesn't mean that if you dream in Malay, your Malay kind of like, you know, get A star. I am an A2 student, but I can admit that the way I pronounce certain things needs a little bit more improving lah. But like in terms of writing, I think I excelled at, and I have a track record to prove.
So you've addressed the first point that I made. So maybe I now continue with the second point. The second point I wanted to make is about, you know, you were talking about how actors after they receive rejection, like how they receive criticism saying that, oh, you don't fit this role because you're not like pretty enough, or like your skin is bad, or you know, those kind of things, like very superficial things. And then I don't know,
like you don't sound Malay enough.
Yeah, then it becomes like, you know, I'm not sure, but maybe some of you may take this too hard, and then it becomes an obsession that you want to improve on. Like maybe you go for, you know, make your skin better, you see a doctor and all that, then you become obsessed about having good skin. Or like, you know, when people say you are not Malay enough, or your English is bad, and then like, you know, you go on this rampage to improve your English, or like, you know, sound more Melayu, and then like who are you trying to impress? You know how those things make you feel like I'm not good enough as compared to, you know, everyone else who came for the audition, for example. Then you don't exactly know what is needed. Like at the moment of time when a cast director come and look at the audition and all that, right? Like sometimes they already have a certain person in mind, and then like if that person just fits that role, maybe like 90% of that what is required, they will just pick that person, you know. And then like whatever criticism that the cast director gives to other people who didn't get it, then like it becomes very subjective. It's very arbitrary, because the role is just that the director or the casting director just wants that kind. And then like you get rejected, then you feel like, oh shit, I didn't fit this role, maybe because I didn't do enough homework, you know. But
yeah, you see, that's when I thought like the criticism would help, because like if the criticism is focused on like what the particular actor is lacking in, then that particular character could evaluate like what exactly he or she could do in the subsequent auditions, you see. And like maybe that particular actor can actually make a mental note, okay, maybe like I am not suited to play like Malay characters, then what kind of other characters can I play in that sense. So I thought that would have been helpful. But like I say there's a difference between like criticism which are helpful and criticism that are not helpful. Criticism that are not helpful will include things like, when you dream, what do you dream in? Do you dream in Malay or do you dream in English?
This is is based on a true story.
Yes, it's based on my true story. Okay, so like what I'm trying to say here is, or my plea towards like up and coming directors, and slash producers, is to always, like, when actors come into like audition with you, always make a mental note on what exactly like that particular actor is lacking in, and if you think that particular actor needs certain like types of like push, then you can tell them, oh, maybe you need to like improve a little bit more on your vocal projection, or maybe you need to improve a little bit more. But whatever it is, try to be constructive in your criticism. The other thing
And
is
also be encouraging, because when you in the director's seat, when you audition people, you see people's strength, you see people's weaknesses, and I think it's not wrong to point out the actor's strengths, although it's not required maybe for the role that the person is auditioning for, but at least tell the person auditioning like, hey, you have this ability or this strength in you that that you should work on, rather than just you as the person in the director's seat just keep on telling people, oh, you need to improve on this, you need to improve on this. Why not tell the person you already have this also, and then why not you should work further? Because I believe that when you have your strength out, is maybe your strength, you think of it, this analogy that I always have, so maybe your strength is 80, when you have a strength, it is at 80%, right? So it's easier to work for that 20%. But if you have a weakness which is at 20%, you have a long way to go. So it's better for you to work on your strength rather than to work on your weaknesses. Your weaknesses, maybe you can improve it to a certain extent, but it will take you a very long time before it becomes your strength.
no, but I think it is also helpful for that particular director slash producer to also point out the weaknesses, because if the actor know that, oh, I am weak in this, maybe then whenever a casting call is out, I should not try to audition for this particular roles in which I wouldn't be able to play according to my strength. Like, for example, like for me, if there is a role that requires the actor to dance, and I know that when it comes to dance, I'll take like months to actually just learn like maybe like 4 beats of like simple steps, and I know that it's not a strength at all for me, so I would tend to kind of like avoid those kind of roles and those kind of casting call, and will go towards more like things that will require you to emote more, for example. Yeah, so I thought the weaknesses, telling the actors their weaknesses would help, but telling them like they are not pretty enough to go on TV is just cruel. Yeah, because then this actor will like forever be thinking like, oh, I'm not good enough for certain things. When
you're crushing a person's dream, it doesn't matter like if the person even is average looking. I feel I'm average looking, but you just need to accept that you are how you look, and like the thing that you put forward is your talent, whatever gift that you have, show it. That's all you can do.
Yeah, plus now we have all the filters in the world. Like you
Snap camera, download Snap camera.
Yeah, you can make someone who looks like Shrek, look pretty. You can make someone who looks pretty, looks like a cringe. So why not?
It doesn't matter. It's like now when you look at movies, it's like what is real, what is fake. It doesn't matter.
Okay, I want to talk just a short while about like these other particular rejections that I've faced. Not just as an actor, but I faced rejection even when I'm in the seat of a producer, like when I'm producing works. So like as we all know, when we're here in Singapore, the cost of producing like a theatre piece, for example, can be quite expensive, right? So you need to write in to like many different bodies for grants and like subsidies and things like that. So there are a lot of times whereby I write in to like different bodies for grants, and then they will like reply to me, oh, your application is not successful, and then most of the time, because like I say, actors, right, thick skin, so most of the time I will press on and ask like what exactly what are the criteria that I have not met,
Or
so
what is
that
lacking.
or what is lacking in my proposal. Maybe like next time when I put out work, I will like bear that in mind when I write the proposals, because for a producer, you can't say because you look ugly and therefore I reject your proposal, right? So it has to the strength or like the weaknesses lies in the idea itself, or in the way you kind of like craft your proposal. So a lot of times I'd be pressing on, and then they will tell me things like, because this time around we received an overwhelming amount of application, and therefore we feel that your application is not strong enough. That is usually the kind of like rejection.
Generic.
Yeah, the kind of rejections that I get. So again, when it comes to like giving helpful criticism, I think this is an area that can be improved on. Like, if you feel that the proposal is not strong enough, then I thought like what would be helpful is to tell us like, like maybe your ideas are a little bit dated, or maybe your ideas are a little bit too controversial. Then producers can take note of like what are the kind of works that will get approved.
Or also, taking the work aside, I guess it's also about when you do the proposal, you need to know how to angle it. Like, yeah, your story may be this, but your proposal may be angling it to a different way that that the other party is more receptive to accept and give you the funding.
So that's why I was saying like maybe like the person who evaluates the proposals could have like be more helpful in pointing out where exactly did this proposal go wrong, and what makes this proposal, say, weaker than the rest of the proposals that have been accepted for grants or approval or whatever not. Yeah.
Yep. So I guess we've been talking a lot about how we process rejection, right? Like what we go through, like when it happened, and like during it happening, and then after it happens of getting rejected, like how you feel before and after. And so moving forward, then how do we move on from this?
Okay, maybe I will reflect on like how currently I try to process rejection. So these days, when I receive a rejection letter, it will be very different from how I process it when I first started out like many years ago, like 10 years ago. Like now these days, whenever I receive a rejection letter, the first thing I would do is to take a snapshot and put it on my like Insta story, and then tell everyone that because like a lot of people tend to like have this idea that like I am at a certain level whereby they feel like, like you have made it, but I think I have yet to get to that level. I mean, yeah,
same here.
Like a lot of people say like you seem happy and everything, like, but like those happy kind of like stories or predisposition that I put up on Insta story, or like when I meet you I smile. Those are just ways of me coping with those rejection, because I mean, like, even after so many rejections, like when I receive any other new rejections, it does hurt, because like you pour your heart and soul into like preparing like those proposals, those work, and then it got rejected. Of course it will hurt, but I tell myself not to take things too seriously, because even though those works may get rejected from like certain organization, I know that I can recycle those ideas or those proposals that I have made to send into another organization which I think would be more receptive to like receiving it. So these days when I receive rejection, I'll be like, it's okay, then I'll just keep this for like subsequent use or future use when like the need arises.
So for me, how I process rejection is through finding the ways that I can improve myself. Like, when you talk about receiving constructive criticism and or any kinds of criticism may be very harsh or what. But I think it's very important for you to take time to reflect. Like, don't get too overwhelmed by the rejection. You just need to sit down, calm yourself down, and you need to think about what has been said and, you know, look at it from a different perspective. It may be very harsh, or it could be things that, like, yeah, I didn't think about it before, like, you know, my strengths or my weaknesses in this. So you need to take note of this, and like when you move forward, like when I send my project proposals to my boss, or you know, when I design something, I design a campaign, like, you know, there will always be times for me when, you know, my boss will say, oh no, this doesn't look right, this doesn't look nice, or you know, because I'm from the marketing department, working in the marketing department, so what I design need to resonate with the customers, and you just need to think about how the rejection that you receive is going to benefit you. So you take the good and the bad, and then you sieve through, you do that reflection, and then you take it, and I'm like, yeah, you know, I think to get over the rejection, you need to first accept that rejection. I think accepting that rejection is the most important thing for you to move on. Because if you don't accept it, then you haven't really thought about yourself, like how you want to improve yourself. Then how are you going to move on? You need to help yourself first. You need to accept, yes, I'm weak in this, I have strengths in this, and then like, yeah, this doesn't meet the project brief. So then when you think about all this, then you have a clear mind of what's your next step. Like maybe you repropose an idea, redo a campaign. You know, it may take time when you receive rejection and you need to redo your work, but I think it's a more satisfying process, like when you do that. So you know you are constantly improving yourself, and then you're working towards that goal, like that common goal. Like for me, it's like the marketing department has a certain goal that I need to reach. So when I want to improve my work, I always look towards that. Like, you know, this is the end goal. Like it needs to be something that is beneficial to the person I'm working for and working with, and also be beneficial for myself, because like I'm the one doing the work, so I need to know that, you know, yes, this is my worth.
Okay. Also, like when it comes to rejection, I realized that, you know, some rejections, right, actually help you to identify as an individual, your own unique selling point. What do I mean by that? Like, for example,
Yes,
I'll give you an example. Through the whole years of auditioning, going for like different theatre productions, I realized that I cannot fit into certain mold. Like, for example, like I cannot fit into the mold of like Malays have to speak in certain ways. Slowly I realized that then that in itself is a unique selling point, because you are just different, and you maybe represent a different type of like community. And from that unique selling point, and I just work on my way. Like I say, if like maybe as an actor, no one wants to cast you into their projects, then why not? You just step into the shoes of like producers and director, and then you produce your own work featuring you as the actor, featuring you as a person with that unique selling point. And that's what I've been doing all these years, you see. And thankfully, like when I was doing that, I came across individuals, producers who are willing to take a chance on me, and who are willing to give me, you know, like avenues and opportunities for me to just kind of like explore my own creativity, my own unique selling point as a Malay who is different from other Malays. That said, of course, I do not see myself as someone who is a level higher than any other Malays. No, I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is that
you have these strengths and it's your USP.
Yes, it's my maybe I couldn't pronounce certain words like most Malays can, And like, even though like some people might think that this is a form of disability, for me, I think I do not want to see it as a disability. I just want to see it as a unique selling point, and I'm just going to keep pushing forth that there is this kind of Malay, this group of Malays who exist in Singapore. It's just that maybe you guys just have not met them, because maybe you have been hanging out with like Malays that fit only your stereotypes.
Yeah. I totally agree. So when you're talking about the USP, like the unique selling point about yourself, I guess it is also, you realizing your uniqueness and making use of it as something you can sell to the producers. Like, maybe it's something the producer didn't know that they needed. So because you are so comfortable in your own skin, right, that your strangeness, right, to
Your
whoever,
uniqueness.
your uniqueness, but the person, the director's strange, the feeling of strangeness, like, because they didn't expect it, right? So when you show that uniqueness about yourself, then it's like, maybe I want to cast you, maybe I change my mind, I want to cast somebody like you to do the show. That's because when you play up your uniqueness and then you don't BS, you don't bullshit, the genuinity comes through. And I think people appreciate that a lot. Anyway, for me, it's like when a person is, not afraid to be who they are, to me, it's like, this person is very genuine to me. And like, I know when you have that kind of trait, that I know you are somebody I can trust at the first instance, because they are so genuine with who they are. And I think it plays a very big part, this USP, and because it really shows the genuinity of a person.
So like these days, whenever I receive a rejection, so what I would do again, like apart from just story it, I will like think about like number one, how do I recycle it and sell it to someone else who might appreciate it. Number two, I will like try to like if nobody really I cannot find anybody who wants to buy into that idea or buy into that particular characteristic or buy into that particular technique, then after, I will try to kind of like pull up a sum of money, and then I will just create my own work using my own uniqueness, pushing forth my own unique selling point. Yeah, that's what I would do.
Yeah, so with all this talk about rejection, I guess it's something we have to face every day in our lives until we're no longer in this world, because you will always be facing rejection.
Actually, I think when you die, you will still face rejection. Like people at the heavens will say like, you have not done
I guess
enough work. Go
that
to
rejection
hell.
is the final rejection, like from what you believe in, when you move over. But I guess when you are still alive, I guess we'll just face a lot of rejection. So maybe you guys have like your own story about how you face rejections and how you overcome it. Maybe you guys would want to share your stories with us. We would love to hear them.
Yes, your own rejection story.
Yes,
Because it makes you feel.
because we have faced a lot of rejection, and like if you guys just want to chat with us and talk about how we face rejection and how we move forward, and maybe we can help each other, or maybe you need some encouragement because you're facing your own rejections at the moment, then at this point of time when we're going through this pandemic, I think it's very important to have people to look up to or people to talk to.
I think that's the other thing about coping with rejections. For me, I think I have been blessed enough these days, like because like if I were to think back, like say 10 years back, like a decade back, right? Like I wouldn't even dare to actually create a work of my own to like put forth to the audience. But because like recently I found like a network of support, which kind of like made me even like more bold to take more brave to take up steps to actually produce my own work and like face more rejections in the process. So
the support system is very
that support
important.
system, I guess, was the one that always kept me alive and kept me going, because there will be these people who will like, you know, through the dark times they will still try to find positive words to kind of like just encourage you to be better, to grow better, to always believe in your own particular work.
So with that, we have come to an end of our LiveJam. So if you would like to reach out to us, you can find me on Instagram. My handle is @SingapuraCat.
And you can find me also at like my handle at A.D.I Jamaludin. Of course, if you feel like you need to watch the video version, you can actually catch LiveJam over. It's being hosted by A.D.I Concept. That's the official channel on YouTube that is hosting the weekly, if not like bi-weekly,
We're trying our best.
LiveJam sessions.
We are trying our best. we'll get to see and hear more of us very soon. So till the next LiveJam. Bye.
Bye.